Yo, so today what we're going to do is talk about jacking styles. Yes, jacking styles.
Hey, I love your style. It's amazing. I super appreciate that. It's super unique. I want it. Give it to me. Yes, all of it. All of the style, the color palette, the shapes. Yeah, I want the way you blend. Yeah, and is that how you execute it? Yeah, I want that too. Give it to me now.
Jacking styles or stealing ideas, concepts, elements, things like this from other creatives is something that has been sort of talked about more and more recently. And I want to make sure I have a video sort of talking about that or discussing it and my thoughts, and sort of give this sort of opportunity for other people to chime in as well in the comment section. So definitely comment below your opinions. But I wanted to sort of really talk about that. And it's, style jacking or jacking someone's sort of IP is nothing new. This happens a lot, and especially in sort of the industries and creative industries where there's a lot of money, opportunity, fame, or recognition. So like dance, you have people stealing choreography and dance moves, TikTok, things like that. You have music, the Migos came out, and 1 or 2 years later, now everyone sounds like the Migos. So that's in the music industry, people stealing beats and lyrics all the time. And in the film and television industry, it's normal. The Shape of Water was basically a remake of Splash. So if you saw the YouTube video that had like shot for shot each of the movies, it basically looked like one director just basically copy and pasted another. Old Disney movies, the animators and creators basically just copied from older Disney movies. I think Winnie the Pooh and the Jungle Book were basically, they had shots side by side on a YouTube video that was showing how the animators just basically copied and pasted it. So this happens a lot, and the arts industry is no different when it comes to like painting and traditional work and sculpture work, all these different sort of areas within our sort of arts world. So I want to make sure we have that conversation. They say that there's nothing new under the sun. That's what a lot of people say, right? When you talk to them about the idea of copying, there's nothing new under the sun. That is true. But there's also basically, not everything has been discovered under the sun. And the artist's journey is basically trying to find and unearth all those things and expressions and ways of connecting that haven't been sort of discovered under the sun. And we want to make sure that we give sort of space and leeway and sort of allow those artists and creatives to actually just hone in and refine what they're doing in terms of just unearthing and finding those new connections under the sun, and bringing that out to the rest of us. We don't want to nitpick at those ideas and at those sort of creations that they're doing, as they're refining it. And one of the reasons why I think a lot of this nitpicking has been going on is because of the internet, right? So we have the internet, and basically it allows every artist, especially nowadays, to get on social media, get on these platforms and share their work, share their art, share their journey, share their process, the mediums that they're using, the studio, behind the scenes, personality, everything. Artists are able to share more now than ever, and that is a huge plus. Being able to share your work, it does come with the other side of that sword, and that is having exposure. You're exposed to other artists and other creatives coming up to sort of nitpick at your practice. And now it's sort of like what one of the artists in Boulder, Colorado, Remington, amazing artist, he said now basically artists are able to sort of shop for style. And basically he's just talking about being able to go on Pinterest and Instagram and social media and other sort of websites, and basically it's sort of like you're at the supermarket and you're just sort of taking style here, taking colors there, taking palettes there, taking this element, that element, and putting into your own practice. So with the internet, it allows for you to get stuff out there, but it also leaves you exposed for other artists to easily just grab stuff from you digitally. And in the end, I think this really hurts a lot of those artists that will go online and virtually sort of like get influenced, because you're skipping the stage when you're sort of finding your own voice and own style of actually going outside your comfort zone, traveling, learning, why you're using certain colors, why you're sort of using a certain material, why you're sort of using this type of clay to mold your sculptures. And now really it's like you're replacing that real world experience through the internet. And one thing I always have to say is that it's not bad to be influenced by other artists or take things from other artists that you really want to sort of investigate and hone in on and sort of explore, but there's like a difference between bringing that into your practice and sort of mixing it in with your own experiences and influences and things like that, versus just taking something because you think it just looks really cool and you just want it because other people will like it as well. And there's that gray area in between as well, that's really wide. And sometimes it's like you just don't know where you're at. So like I said, it's not bad to be influenced at all. But when you're getting into the side of just taking things because you think it looks good or you think other people will like it, that's where you really have to sort of question: is this the right direction for it? Another area that I want to sort of get into when it comes to power dynamic as well, because that's huge. You can be a huge comedian and go into sort of an open mic where you're listening to an unknown comedian and steal their joke, do it on your platform that's really large, and now people associate that joke with you rather than the person you took it from. So the power dynamic when it comes to the creative community, and when someone at the top, super established, comes down and sort of steals and an artist that's trying to just start out and get on and just work really, really hard, and they're sort of authentic, and they have their work taken, and there's just like no recourse, there's no way to sort of fight against that larger entity. That happens all the time in our area as well when it comes to businesses. So brands and sort of corporations stealing ideas from artists. So that power dynamic is super real. Another part of the conversation is when there are artists taking from the same source or getting influence from that same source, and now you have 5 artists doing the same type of work.
He's my clone! I'm Tom Lincoln! What? No, I'm Tom Lincoln! He's the clone! I'm Tom Lincoln! He's the clone! Look at I'm not a clone! I'm Tom!
And it just saturates, the idea or the concept and sort of waters it down. I remember when I went to Art Basel and they had sort of like this infinity mirror concept. I saw it one time by one artist, and then when I went the following year or the year after, basically there were like 6 other artists in that same sort of idea or concept or realm. So the idea of stealing concepts and ideas and having that in the arts community really hurts the overall arts community, because artists will not want to share. They will not want to sort of give out knowledge and ideas of process and materials and what they're looking at and their influences, things like this, because they're afraid that people will take their hard-earned work and do something else with it. So we have to make sure that we're aware of this in our own practice and the overall arts community in general. Like I said, it's okay to have influences, and sometimes I sort of am subconsciously influenced a lot by a certain artist, but I always have to keep that in mind, that when I do my work, this is why I'm doing it this way, because of artist A, B, and C. So I have to make sure that I either sort of give them recognition, or I have to sort of take it out of the practice in the end, because it's kind of like I want to be influenced, but I don't want too much influence into the work that I do, because the one thing I don't want is have people come around and say, I love your work, your work is just like artist A, B, and C, or your work is very similar to this artist over here, it looks almost the same. I cringe when I hear that, because I want my work to be super unique, and that's the work that I guess the journey that we're all on. And sometimes, like I said, we're subconsciously influenced, we're influenced just in general, and directly influenced, and we sort of take that into our studio practice a lot of times. But we really have to figure out how to make it our own, how to make it different, and sort of not step on or overlap on other people's work so much that we just overshadow them, or they feel like, you know, we're basically, you know, on top of them taking their stuff. So really, like I said, we have to be aware of the idea of that, and everyone in some form or fashion to some degree is in that space, you know, being influenced and taking stuff from other individuals. We want to make sure that we're aware of it, like I said, and sort of, you know, add our own flavor to it to where it's something totally different than what someone else is doing. So that is something that I want to sort of talk about today and just have that conversation about, because it is sort of a real issue that we don't talk about a lot in the artist community, because I think we just don't like conflict, but you know, it's something that comes up all the time. So hopefully this conversation is going to be great and fruitful. I'd love to hear your opinion. Definitely throw it in the comment section, and hopefully we can continue this with another video during another week, so that we have more dialogue. And I will see you next time. Peace.